Hello, how we doing? Got a pretty little cool thing I discovered yesterday. I kind of mentioned that I really don't use astrology to look at financial markets or not, but I mean I do have the charts for what I use for the dollar, which is the Nixon shot, and I do have America's birth chart, which they call Sibley, and I have a chart for Bitcoin. Well, needless to say, last night before all this market volatility today, I knew it was coming. I was actually going to predict it by tomorrow, but I don't know. I'm not going to. I can't predict the direction of astrology. I'm not that good with that yet. With financial markets, I'm not gonna lie. Shit, I might not be that good at all. But anyway, I got a couple of things. I've been doing a class, well, a little audio class with an astrology teacher, and the it's a Vedic astrology class, but it's called Varshafala. And basically, all it is it's a the Indians called it a solar return. That's basically all it is. So I was looking at that at the dollar's birth chart because we're kind of on the cusp of it breaking down, breaking more up to the upside, and really a lot of people are kind of contradicted themselves about this. But I mean, I thought just from a technical standpoint, I thought it was always bullish. I've been bullish on the dollar since probably 2015, 14. I don't know. Actually, probably even longer than that. But I was trying to get a little bit clearer direction. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen. Um, oh, wrong button. I'm going to share my screen. And the first thing I'm going to show is, let's see, screens. I'll use the wheel. Okay, so look, what I use for the US dollar is the chart that happened the night of the Nixon shock on August 15th. What a coincidence, of 1971. So tomorrow, I guess you could say the international monetary system has its birthday tomorrow. You can look at it like that. At 9 o'clock in Washington, D.C., that's when Nixon came across the air and basically delinked the gold and the dollar. And ever since, governments have been having access to do whatever they want with the printing machine. They have all this debate about modern monetary theory or whatnot. Well, to be honest with you, that shit started back in the 70s. It started in the 70s. I mean, they have whatever they want to do, really, to print, whatever amount of money. And you could see that whenever he did it, that's actually when the dollar devalued a lot. And then we had the big inflation in the early 80s. Well, Paul Volcker came in and stopped that, raising interest rates to 20%. Well, ever since then, interest rates have been on a decline, and that's basically because the budget and everything. We're $1 trillion in debt. Give me one second. Sorry, cooking. But anyway, so the thing I'm going to point out right here is this is the dollar. This is the birth chart of the night of August 15th. So we got a Pisces rising. Okay, well, look where Jupiter's at. Jupiter's situated on the ninth cusp in Scorpio in a pretty good dignity. So Jupiter's, the ascendant Lord, is going to be answering the Mars. Okay, look where Mars is placed. You can't even see it because it's on top of Rahu, which is the north node of the moon, in the 12th house. So Mars for this chart is a second Lord and a ninth Lord, poorly situated in the 12th house with Rahu. So that should be throwing off flags right there. The biggest thing that caught my attention with this chart from the beginning is you notice is the 612 axis, which is supposed to be an all inauspicious axis in astrology. Well, look what we got right here. In the birth chart, we have Venus combust in Leo, which is the transit right now in the sky. 1918 and 2231. Right now, currently, Venus until I think tomorrow is, they call it Cassini. It's basically in the heart of the sun. And it's supposed to strengthen Venus. I've never had any experience with that, or to say if it does or don't. That's just, I guess you could say, the textbooks or just tradition in astrology, how that's passed down. Regardless, that's not the point. You have this in the 6th house, this setup with that transit happening right now. Basically, around the same degrees, if I'm not mistaken, too. I noticed all this last night. So that's the first thing that I'm looking at. I'm looking at Sun, Venus, and Mars. Okay? Now, I take you to the solar return. This is for 2018. Okay? So tomorrow it'll have a whole nother chart for 2019. What do we have? We have a Leo rising for this chart. So we know that anything for the sun, because the sun rules Leo, anything with the sun is going to be important. Any transits to Leo is going to be important. Hands down. And you have 3 planets right here in the house, so it's going to be very strong. And you have Rahu, basically the nose flipped, with Mars, that's with Rahu in the birth chart, now with K2. Okay? This little chart right here basically shows you the strength, how much pop the planet has, and basically whether it's going to be auspicious or inauspicious. Okay? So basically you look and you already see Venus +5, -5. So you know that's not too good. Mercury, even though he's in his own house or exalted in the birth chart, it's not proven auspicious this year. And the moon is the worst. The moon is with Venus, the planet that I pointed out to you in the beginning. Venus in the birth chart is the 3rd and 8th lord. And for mutable signs, which is Pisces, Gemini, Virgo, and Sagittarius, the 3rd and 8th lord is the worst one. So Venus for Pisces ascendant is really tough. And you have him placed in the 3rd house with moon in Libra, okay? Well, the Saturn's helping Sun out, okay? The main thing I really, what struck me with this though, is the Sun. You see how they're friends. This sextile, the Sun and Venus are actually helping each other out this year. They're friends. Regardless, in the birth chart, they're not friends because Venus is combust and with the Sun. Well, in this particular year, we could safely say that just because Sun's in the ascendant, in Leo, in its own sign, aspect in Leo, a friendly aspect, a sextile, that it's not going to have that big an effect. I shouldn't say that big of an effect, but it shouldn't be to where it would be bad for the dollar, even though that's how it is in the birth chart, because in this solar return, they're acting as friends. And really the only planet is which the ascendant lord is in the 4th house is Jupiter. He's getting squares, which it's basically stress from Mercury. No, I'm sorry, from Sun and Mercury. So after we look at that, this is what we call Mantha. This is the biggest thing in Aquarius at 1639. Mantha in the solar return chart, along with the year lord, is the most important points in the chart that you can get a ton of information out of. Well, guess what happened last night? The moon entered the solar return Mantha's Aquarius entered the sign Aquarius, which is the month for the solar return. And that moon being inauspicious, look at this, -5. Once it entered Aquarius, it set off those chain of events. Right when it hit Aquarius, man, it was like, I want to say at one point, and at 4 in the morning, I mean, it was already clocked down, man. And I'm talking about the futures markets. So I knew Aquarius was going to be a hot spot. So on the tomorrow, I was predicting when all this volatility will happen, just because the month of. Now look, the year lord is Sun. Sun's in Leo in the Varshapal in the year chart, the solar return, and Sun's in its own house in the birth chart. We know this 612 axis in the birth chart, back to the birth chart, is hot. Anything this Leo Aquarius axis is volatility for financial markets. I'm going to say it right now. I mean, it's all connected and everything goes off the dollar, all financial markets, even Bitcoin. I don't care what anybody says. Bitcoin is a risk asset right now. It's not a safe haven. So anytime that risk is off, which is stocks go down, 8 out of 10 Bitcoin is going to go down too, because it doesn't have too many people to use as a medium of exchange yet. It's not that popular. Okay, that's a whole nother story. So when I looked at the birth chart and I saw the 612 axis, Leo and Aquarius, you go back to this solar return, and look, the month is Aquarius and it's opposite Leo. Okay, this is prime time just alerting me to volatility. Okay, the Sun is the year lord as well in its own house. So you know nothing too bad. If I'd have known this the whole year, I probably wouldn't have even got out of any of my trades and just kept $1 long the whole time. But hey, look, that's what I get for not trying to do this a little sooner, I guess. But anyway, all right, so basically that's what I was going to try and display for the waterfall, is basically to show you how easy it is. You can take your chart and just look at this chart and know a basic principles about Mantha, which is the progressed ascendant through time, and the year lord. Look where those house placements are at in the solar return. Look at the sign they're in. Overlay it on the birth chart. You're going to get a ton of information. Now I see why my teacher has been harping about this particular, I guess you say, branch of Indian astrology. Because man, I tell you, and I've went through it through my own chart and through time, and kind of matched up the events, and I'm like, holy shit. But yeah, man, it's kind of cool. The volatility ain't over. We'll look just for a quick reference. This is next year. They get a new chart the dollar gets a new chart every year because it's its birthday tomorrow. And this is kind of looking a little bit more suspect, because anytime you have these oppositions like this and it's to the moon, which is very, very bad, again in Aquarius, anytime Leo in Aquarius pops up with a transit for moon, you might want to think, when you look at your technical levels, of certain spots to start shorting the dollar. Tomorrow is going to be a very interesting day. I've already requested that the guy that kind of teaches this technique to critique this if I'm not doing any of the techniques he's taught right. I mean, I'm actually only 4 days into, not even a week into learning it, but I feel I got a decent handle on it. But you know, it really does get into more details with the yogas and everything. I just wanted to show you guys and alert you to the Leo Aquarius axis in our financial markets. Thank y'all.